Hi, it's Dave. So in this episode, I'm going to go over a story of how I gave almost 5,000 Tesla shares away. However, it's more complicated than that, and it deals with options and gifting and a whole sorts of issues. So I'm going to go into this story. It's actually going to be in 5 parts. So here's the intro. This is actually just a fun story. I don't think I've ever told anyone publicly about this story, but I thought I'd, kind of reflect back on the past a bit. And the story actually is a good lesson. It teaches about options and it also teaches about compound growth. And one note is that all of the numbers in this story are split adjusted. So all the shares and the number of contracts that I explained, they're all split adjusted. All right. So here's part 1. It goes back to May 2013, and Tesla had just reported their record Q1 earnings, which they reported GAAP profit for the first time. And on the next day, it was March 9th, 2013, I had purchased a bunch of options for various strikes, September 13th, January 14th, June 14th, January 2015. So what an options contract is, it gives a right to purchase a certain stock at a later date for a certain price. So one of the options contracts I bought was for September 21st, 2013 at a $16 strike. So what that means is that I have the right to buy Tesla stock on or before September 21st, 2013 for $16. Even if the stock is like $100, I still can buy it for $16. That's an option contract. I bought at that time 50 contracts that gives me the right to buy 5,000 Tesla shares. Each options contract actually controls 100 shares. So 50 contracts, 5,000 shares at $16 on or before September 21st, 2013. So those are the option terms. Now the stock price at that time on May 9th, 2013 was $13.88. So the $16 price is actually out of the money, right? It's higher than the current price of the stock. These contracts, 50 contracts in total, costed me $6,815, right? And if the stock price never reached $16, right, on or before, say, September 21st, or at that date, then I would be out that entire $6,815. Okay, so let's fast forward. August 2013, Tesla stock had actually appreciated to about $25 to $30 a share. So the $16 strike 2020 September 2013 calls were now in the money. So they were the strike price was lower than the current share price. So I had several options I could follow, or several avenues, right, of choice. Number one is I could exercise the options by paying $80,000 for 5,000 shares. Okay, so at $16 each, 5,000 shares, that equals $80,000. And then I would actually have 5,000 Tesla shares. But in my case, I had a lot of other option contracts for further out dates that I could exercise. And so I wasn't really, dying for option number 1 at that time. Option number 2, or choice number 2, I'd say, is I could sell the option contracts and pay short-term taxes. And the profit could be, $100,000 or more. And so I would have substantial income and short-term, actually, income taxes and state taxes as well, being in California at that time. All right, choice number 3 is I could gift the options to somebody, actually gift the contracts before their exercise, right, before the expiration date, and have the person who's received that contract, they could choose to exercise, right, those shares, or they could sell the contracts themselves. And this, if they chose to exercise these contracts for Tesla shares and they kept them long term, right, this could be an absolutely life-changing gift, mind-blowing in a sense. Okay, so part 3, here's called making the gift. So I actually ended up deciding on the third choice, which is to gift these shares to somebody that I really wanted to help, that needed the financial help. So I arranged transfer of the 50 option contracts from my brokerage account to their brokerage account. Right? So these are just purely option contracts. They weren't shares at this time. And I made sure that the people who were receiving the option contracts, that they intended to exercise, right, these contracts, and they intended to hold the stock as long as possible. And here's my logic of why I thought, these option contracts. These option contracts would be a great kind of gift. And the reason is oftentimes with volatile stocks, it's hard to enter the right time, and there's so many wild swings, right? But if you can enter with a substantial discount, right, to the market price of the stock, that gives you a cushion. It's an emotional kind of psychological cushion. It's a margin of safety. You're like, hey, the stock can go down like, 30, 40%. And if I got a 50% discount on the stock, then that's fine, right? It's still lower than the cost that I got in. So it's a great way, I thought, to help someone get into the stock by having that kind of extra cushion and the ability to get in at a cheap price. All right, let's go to part 4, exercising the options. So I give these 50 contracts to a person I really wanted to help out. The receiver, the person receiving the gifted option contracts, they decide to exercise the contracts. So now this is 50 contracts. Each contract can control 100 shares, and the strike is $16. So they can purchase 5,000 shares at a $16 price. Now the stock price on September 20th, 2013, a day before the options expired, was $36.68. So that means they got a discount of $20.68 per share, which is fantastic, right? It gives them really the psychological advantage because they were able to get more than a 50% discount on the stock. If the receiver, the person who received the gift, if they would have bought 5,000 shares on the open market, right, for the market price, they would have had to spend $183,000 and $183,400. So they're saving over $100,000, and this is what kind of the power of the gift is. For me, originally it only costed like $6,800, right? These option contracts. It ended up becoming a gift worth $100,000 to them, but it enabled them by exercising it to get into Tesla at a very reasonable, right? Actually cheap price at a huge discount. And the key is it got them into Tesla, right? It got them into the stock with a decent amount of shares that they're intending to hold long term. All right, let's wrap this up. So part 5, the outcome. So what happened to all this? So if they would have kept the 5,000 Tesla shares and would have not touched them until now, right? The 5,000 shares would be equal to over $5.5 million, let's say at a market price of $1,100 or more, right? The good news is actually the people who received this gift, they actually kept the majority of these Tesla shares, and it has truly become a life-changing amount. And in my opinion, actually it was better than just purely gifting Tesla shares at that time to them, because they actually were forced to, I won't say forced to, but they decided to put their own money into the game, right? They had to put in $80,000 to buy the stock. So they had vested interest. It wasn't just, completely freely given to them without any of their responsibility. So overall, I thought it was a cool example of the power of options, the power of gifting, the power of compound growth, and the power of investing to change, right, a person's financial future. Would I do it all over again, knowing that Tesla would appreciate this much? Of course. I think it was a fantastic approach to gifting, and I would do it over in a heartbeat. All right, hope this was helpful. If it was, go ahead, like and subscribe. All my videos can be found on an audio podcast as well. Just search for Dave Lee on investing in your favorite podcast player. And also I'm active on Twitter at HeyDave7. All right, we'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks.